Why did the goalkeeper have to go and do the work of the fullback?
Mr. President, I think I was caught in the heat of the moment and thought I could defend, but Mr. President,
where had the fullback gone?
I think the fullback can answer that.
Fullback, you come and tell us. What had happened to the fullback? Tell me what had happened.
We were attacking, so we were high up in the pitch, so we were quite up in the moment.
Why do you all go to attack? Because this is the whole thing of the AOR in the army. Area of responsibility. Why would you all go to attack and then you leave the goalkeeper alone? So, but nevertheless, we are now better off than we were. At least nafe tubakubiyemu. Because of that, I am quite happy. And you remember, I threatened that if they do well, I will do something to them. So this time I've come here to implement. I've already implemented my threat. I promise that every time you win, I will give the 40, something like 30 million each, which will be 1.2 million. There was another game later where I think it was South Africa, where God had to come from heaven and rescue directly. Because when I watched initially, you were like, I think you had scored first. I think Uganda had scored first or something like that against South Africa. Then, of course, me, I don't have time to watch the whole thing. I went to do something else. When I came back, they said, what has happened? No, you had considered a goal, I think. Then when I was watching, your defense was nowhere to be seen. Then the goalkeeper, do you remember that goalkeeper when he ran? That goalkeeper of yours had to go from his area. He actually got to the ball. He got to the ball slightly before the opponent, but he couldn't. I think the rules don't allow you to hold the ball unless you are in your area of responsibility. So he tried now to dodge the other player now who outsmarted him, and then he scored. The goal was empty. The goal was empty. I don't know what had happened. What had happened to what had happened to the fullback? Tell me what had happened. You are the one who scored first.
Yes, sir.
Yes, I that's what I saw.
Then we started, our defense started panicking. We started losing shape in all the defensive areas. So we wanted it so much. Our boys wanted it so much. The goalkeeper couldn't wait for some moment because he was under pressure. He wanted to do more, but most times he found himself out of position. But sometimes
he actually got to the ball first, but because he couldn't hold it, where is the goalkeeper? You come and defend yourself. Where had the fullback gone?
I think the fullback can answer that.
Thank you, Mr. President. In that moment, we were attacking, so we were high up in the pitch, so we were caught up in the moment.
Why do you all go to attack? Because this is the whole thing of the AOR in the army. Area of responsibility. Why would you all go to attack and then you leave the goalkeeper alone?
Yes, Mr. President, in that moment, the ball was on the right, in the right flank, so it was a counter-attack. So the defense was high up, so he had to come out, so we had to cover the goal, but eventually we couldn't defend the goal.
Backwards, where is this backwards, man? What do you think of my military idea of AOR, area of responsibility? Everybody stay in your area of responsibility, you will be more efficient. I don't know what you think. Instead of all of you going on one side, then you need to run back, all of you. Is it not even tiring?
In fact, Your Excellency, you are very right. Football was created by the army in the 18s. It's mostly structured in the army shape. Every player has his job to be done. Every player has to have a job to perfect it. And once you are disjointed somewhere in defense, you get a lot of problems. So totally it is in the shape of army guard.
You have got a white coach. I saw a white man here. Where is that our white friend? Come. What do you think?
And like Gavin told you, when you go forward and you come to a counter, that means that you're not in position. And that's mostly when you're attacking. So therefore, we always talk about wrist defense. But at that moment, if your wrist defense is not at place, it's difficult.
But why should all these 9 or so people go forward? Why wouldn't you have the 5 forward and others? What is the problem?
My explanation, we all attack and we all defend.
So it looks more like a drama. I mean, it looked like the president of Uganda was following each and every Uganda Cranes match during the CHAN. We call it CHAN, but it's African Nations Championship. It's a game between Uganda, which happened to be the host nation, and South Africa. Uganda have taken the lead in the 31st minute. But the whole thing was turned around in the second half of the game. South Africa scored in the 52nd minute, scored in the 58th minute, and then went ahead to score in the 83rd minute, turned the whole thing around to 3-1. But Uganda came back, as a host nation, proved that they are indeed the host nation. They scored through a penalty in the 88th minute, scored another penalty in the 90+6 minutes, making it 3-3. And secure just a point, but that was not enough to help them to progress. So the president was actually interrogating them. He asked the coach of Uganda national team, how they allow South Africa to score an empty goal. He jokingly challenged him to explain the defensive lapse, highlighting that the forwards and wingers had not properly positioned themselves near the opponent's goal. In fact, the one that made everyone laugh was when he called the goalkeeper. Why the goalkeeper had to, you have seen the video, why the goalkeeper had to leave his goalpost, what he called area of responsibility. I feel he doesn't know much about football. He should have said his 18-yard box. The goalkeeper, if you are not in your 18-yard box, you cannot touch the ball with your hand. So the goalkeeper left his 18-yard box to go and move the ball away from danger, because he has rushed for the ball, he didn't get it, and the South African player was able to control the ball smartly, and they lobbed it into the empty net. And the just like you have seen in the video, the Ugandan defender couldn't do anything, though he jumped to head it off, from entering the goal line or the goalpost, but he failed. That was how South Africa scored. So his main problem was that Why is it that the defenders, left their area? Let me use his words now. His words, area of responsibility. Well, anything can happen in football. It can happen to anything. So Uganda was actually doing well in that competition that Morocco ended up winning. They were doing well in that competition, but all of a sudden they threw away their lead. That game against South Africa, they were doing well, scoring, putting the score, throwing the first blood, scoring first. But South Africa turned it around in the second half, leading 3-1. But they came back again to make it 3-3. But that was not enough to help them to advance to the next stage. So the man, to me, the man is full of comedy. He called that. This is just the first time, seeing a president of a nation, calling out players and the coaches to come and explain themselves why they didn't perform well, why they did not progress the next round, what really happened in that game, or what really happened in the match. Seems he's interested in football. But then he ended up also giving them the amount he promised them. He promised them, I think, 1 point something billion Ugandan shillings. So each and every player will get 30 million Ugandan shillings. So he kept his promise, even though they did not progress. They did not even win the African Championship. But then he was able to keep to his promise. You never know. It could be because of election that is coming closer. He said he will not be contesting for another election after 2026. But African politicians, they always make such promises. We'll see how that plays out. Whether Museveni will contest again or not, we'll find out after his. Let's see if he will even win in next year's election 2026 in Uganda.